Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past. We are back in Kakario Village, but we are going to head down here to this little house of sorts. This house has a secret. There is a book on that shelf, and we can't reach it unless we run into it with our new Pegasus boots that Saharasalasala gave us. He was really awesome to give us those boots. And these boots aren't just made for walking, they are for running. And they're the best way to get around because you just quickly dash. Unfortunately, you know, when you dash, there's a little bit of a pause, so it would have been nice for there just to be a dash feature, like to make Link run faster. That's my problem, is I always want to make the character move faster. I'm kind of impatient like that. I wish there was... I think every game needs a dash button. And, you know, you could say, well, why don't you just have them automatically be running automatically? Well, I don't know. There's just some kind of power to having being able to press B and having them run as opposed to just them running automatically. I don't know if it makes them feel faster than if it was... I think that's part of it, is when you're pressing B, you know they're going faster, whereas if you're not, you know, if you're not pressing B, that's just their normal speed. So even if they're moving the same, whether or not you press B or not, like, if they automatically run, to your mind, if you're pressing B, they're going to go faster than if you don't. And either way, even if a game doesn't have pressing B do anything for run, or at least for running, I usually do press B anyway, just because that's what I'm used to. I'm used to pressing B to run. Kind of probably like built in, or not built in, but like ingrained in my mind that that's what happens when you press B, you run. So you have this building over here. As of now, it serves no importance at all, or no real importance. It may hint later on, but for now it has no importance aside from having bombs and one other secret. And if you know what this game is about by now, you can probably guess that it is indeed a heart piece. And there's an anti-fairy. And I always pull the wrong switch. I pulled the wrong switch in the Sanctuary, which released snakes or ropes, and this is bombs. Now that we pulled that switch, somehow pulling that switch causes the water to drain out of that area. I don't know how, there's not really any connection. Granted, it's SNES, I don't expect it to have, you know, a super explanation as to why, but for whatever reason, yeah, that does that. Over here we have, who's that guy? He's not talking much. Pay no attention to the average middle age. Oh, it's PK, or the Pasta King. Again, the Pasta King is a member of CSS. You should go check out his channel. Yes, that I'm giving him a shout out. A shout out of sorts. I haven't really been giving shout outs much because, I don't know, I don't like to be selective for my shout outs because if I'm going to shout out someone, it's probably going to be just the people I watch, and, you know, I don't know. Could just select one random. Go watch Red Kirby 555664002 Orange. I don't know, just some random username. Just draw it out of a hat. So, we are in the desert, if you couldn't figure that out by the dead cows and cactuses. But first we're going to head up here, and we have another descendant of the Wise Men. I believe he might state that he is a descendant if you talked to him before getting the Book of Medora, which was the book we got. But, yeah, he is another descendant. There are 3 descendants of the, 3 male descendants, and 3 old men who live in caves, though technically Sarasalasa didn't live in a cave, rather a house. And Sarasalasa, I know I'm not pronouncing his name right at all, I'm not even attempting to, but, he kind of is the guide of the game. You know how Zelda games usually have, like, a guide? Twilight Princess had Midna, Phantom Hourglass had Celia, Spirit Tracks had Zelda, Majora's Mask had Tattle, Ocarina of Time had Navi, Wind Waker had the King of Red Lions. This game is kind of Sarasalasa. He's basically, hi, Mudmen. He's basically the, guide, or your friend of the game. So if we have the Book of Medora, we can now use it to translate, and we have to make a wish to be able to get through here. That's weird. I love this. I love that animation. Please let me in! Why are you making me do this? It's dumb. I mean, really, like, you just have to wish if you wish it. If you believe enough, and with a tiny bit of magic, you can get through the door into the next temple. And I never liked this temple. It's not all that hard. It's just, I don't know. First of all, I always get lost, and there's no reason to. It's very simple, and I should be able to do this with no problem every time, because it's a very simple layout of a temple. But I don't know. I always just have issues with navigating, partly because there are a few rooms in this temple that are like dead ends and serve very little point, and my nature is check every single room, so because of that, that always causes issue in the end. It makes my playtime for this temple always longer than it probably should. You know, the first temple I can just beast through it without any issue. This one, not as much. I always have issue with getting through this temple, as I've said. So, what else can I talk about? Demos. WiiWare has demos again. They had demos way back in like the spring, I believe, with Pokemon Rumble was one of the demos, and you know, now that I don't know if that was just a test run, just to test them, or if they attempted trying doing demos and none of the developers wanted to make them, which I think might have been the case, and then they just decided, you know what, screw you guys, you're making demos, or maybe people asked to make demos. I have no idea. Either way, WiiWare demos are back. There's always been DS demos, which I've been lazy about. If you go to the Nintendo channel on the Wii, on your Wii, there is demos you can download for the DS, and I should try it out. I should download some demos. I never have the. I'm too lazy to go onto my Wii menu, go to the Nintendo channel, and then take out my DS and download demos. I'm much more likely to go to the Wii Shop channel and download a demo from there, and that's actually pretty tedious as well. You know, I honestly should be downloading DS demos. Never failed to find all items. Well, I'm 100% completionist. Of course I'm not going to fail to find all the items. And we got a key. But yeah, I definitely would recommend checking out the demos, because the best way to discover whether or not a game is worth it is to try it out yourself. Recently, I played the demos for And Yet It Moves and Bit Trip Fate. Now, I really like Bit Trip Runner. Fate, I didn't like Fate, at least from what I played in the demo, and maybe I need to play more. Because again, the thing with demos is you're only playing a bit of it, so it's quite possible you could like it later on. And so demos aren't exactly perfect. The only way to fully know if you like a game is to play the full game. But demos are a good way to know whether or not it's worth spending your money on the game, whether or not it's worth giving the game a chance, rather. Because I think reviews, ultimately, I think reviews are, I mean, I imagine, I've talked about demos before, and I said demos are something that we need. We need demos. Reviews don't, you know, as much as a reviewer can try to be unbiased, which they're not, but I wish they were more. But even if they attempt to be unbiased, it's not, you know, it's still not going to give you a perfect picture. They can give you the facts, but even then, and even watching videos, like I've watched trailers. Watching a trailer and playing a game is an entirely different experience. Even watching a Let's Play and playing a game. You can watch a Let's Play and be like, oh, this is really awesome. When you attempt to play it, though, the experience is entirely different. So you really should be playing the games as opposed to... I mean, it's fine to watch them as well, but, like, you know, don't say, oh, I watched this, that means I won't like this game. I would, you know, playing it is the best way to determine whether or not you'll like a game, personally. But for the demos, yeah, Bit Trip Fate I really didn't like all that much. I don't know, it was way too slow, and it just kind of confusing too. Maybe if I probably should give it more of a chance. It was probably a bit hasty, but Runner, I really liked Runner, and Fate, you know, I liked Runner from just playing the first few seconds of it. Fate, not as much. It wasn't bad. I also, Steam had their Black Friday sale, and I purchased Bit Trip Beat, the first game of the series. It wasn't a game I got before. I hadn't bought the game before because I said I was more interested in, you know, Runner was pretty interesting. I wasn't really into the rhythm games, but I got it for Steam because, you know, I basically got a $49 value for only $4, and there was like multiple games in the pack, including oh, I can't remember what. A bunch of rhythm games though. There was other indie packs I should have got beforehand. I think there was like an action and adventure, but the rhythm one was probably the only one that had a bunch of games I was interested in. The other ones had some that I wasn't nearly as interested in as as the rhythm ones. Though I guess the action one I was kind of interested in. But and Yet It Moves was interesting, but kind of boring. It was very artistic, and it was interesting gameplay, but it wasn't a bad game, but it was kind of slow. Again, I really like to move fast in games, and Yet It Moves was kind of slow. Especially, it's kind of a misleading title. It's and Yet It Moves, and yet it was very slow moving. Not a bad thing though. It was very interesting game. And here we have the big treasure chest with the power glove. It's so bad. You can feel strength in both hands. Why both? It's only one glove. Though technically it could be power gloves. So now we can lift certain objects that are heavier, as if you've seen those 8 blocks that, I think they're 8s. Maybe they're not. I always see them having 8 on top of them. I gotta look at them when I get back to that outer area. But yeah, demos. If you haven't, I would definitely go and get some, try out the WiiWare demos, which are now back. And I hope Nintendo sticks with the WiiWare demos and leaves them on. And I hope they actually get DSiWare demos, because demos are something that all companies should be pushing to have, because not only does it get your game out there, but I think it also strives to make companies attempt to make better games, because if people, yeah, they'll look like a little 8, but if companies make a bad game and no one likes it because the demo sucks, then that could make them lose sales. At the same time, though, critics make people lose sales, sometimes misleading them in the wrong direction. They may say things that, in their opinion, it's a flaw, but for someone else, it might not necessarily be that way. If someone says it's boring, it doesn't. It's boring, and people say, "Oh, well, it's boring. I'm not going to play it." But it's boring to them. It might not be boring to you. It depends. It also depends on how in-depth the reviewer gets with the description of the game. There are good reviewers, but there are a lot of bad critics as well. But yeah, and also it could make a lot of game developers could be just like, well, I don't want to make a demo because they'll make me work harder. I want to get by making, because the thing with, I've said this before and I'll say it again, and we're getting out of that era, but for a while, people discovered, hey, I can make money by not doing all that much. That I can, with the bare minimum. I think the Millennium had a lot of stuff that was, a lot of games and a lot of movies which were, well, we can make money without really being that creative. Now, that's not I think that's slowly not being the case. I think there are definitely a lot of creative things now, but I think for a while it was the case that how to make money the simplest way was more of the focus, as opposed to how to be creative. And I think, because with 3D animation, a lot of that, it was a lot of how can we catch people's eye and make people interested in our product without not necessarily having the creativity. And oh, look, boss. So this boss is it Moldrum? No, I don't think it's Moldrum. It's twin. They're sandworms. I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments what they're called. I really can't remember. They're not Moldrum, because Moldrum is the next boss, I believe. I think not Twin Rova, Twin Mold. Twin Mold is probably something like that. I believe it's Twin something, but there's 3 of them, so I think the triplets. I've never been good at fighting this boss either. Like I said, the temple I never really liked. There's not really any exact reason other than I just don't like it. This boss I've always had trouble, and it's not that hard, I just have been dumb. Always dumb in fighting it. As you can see here, I'm not doing all that great. Ow. Stop that. I'm gonna die. I should stop pushing my luck and I should get a fairy out. Oh look, I made one explode. So you just have to keep hitting them until they're dead. I don't know if the ice rod is that useful. It might be, and the bow might be useful, but the sword works fine as long as you can dodge them. You should be pretty fine with this boss. It's not that difficult. I'm just dumb. Overall, that's basically the main thing. Die, 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 die. Okay, that's not really that. That song is boring. It's not gonna get the top 10 list. I mean, this music is good, but it's quite repetitive, to be honest, for a boss theme. There are much better boss themes in the Zelda series. This game has a lot of great music, but this boss theme is pretty mediocre. And there we go, he's dead. And grab his heart, and run to the center. Grab the pendant. Yay! This is the pendant of power, I believe. This has been Maker 400, and I am reminding you that Link has pink hair in this game, and it's badass.